Easy. StacksAMilli can't even afford a mortgage. Jay-Z drops a mortgage on Ace of Spades bottle. Ace of Spades? Isn't that the same company he owns? On his own company? Oh, on his own company. That's how many numbers they have. That was just one night. It's an enjoyable night with the Ace of Spades. You folks made a big deal over the receipt, I guess. I don't know. I did. I'm making a big deal over it. I can't even get a mortgage. Jay-Z wasn't lazy. He played his cards. He knew how to play his cards right. And one of the most powerful cards in the deck is the Ace of Spades. And when it comes to sizes, magnums. They got the magnums. Magnums, it's big everywhere. You got magnum condoms. You got magnum size tattoo needles. Magnum ice cream. A firearm magnum. Sorry, a firearm that is a magnum. Or capable of discharging ammunition or what have you that happens to be a magnum ammunition. I don't know. What is a firearm that's a magnum? Isn't it just the slightly larger? It's a certain designation to the ammunition that it fires. Firearm magnum. I guess we'll do a little research. What exactly is a magnum when it comes to the firearm? Yes, it has to do with the cartridge. Originally designed as a pistol cartridge, what limited popularity it achieved it was in the Marlin Model 62 Lever-matic rifle, based on the 357 caliber. It's a magnum variation of their calibers. You have firearms that are capable of discharging a magnum cartridge. You have ones that are not, or not recommended. It's a more powerful cartridge, much like federal ammunition is for the rifles, etc., etc. There was a time when the term magnum was fairly well defined. I'm talking back in the 60s and 70s, when the word pretty much meant a cartridge more powerful than normal, and was usually based on the belted Holland and Holland case. In fact, in the eyes of many, if it didn't have a belt, it couldn't be a magnum. That's how synonymous the two words became. As always, though, there were many exceptions to the rule. Back in its early days as a Wildcat, for example, the 25-06 or what have you certainly provided magnum performance if the standard for the caliber was 257 Roberts. Yet it was never called the 25-06 Magnum or 25-06 Magnum. One thing you'll learn, you have your most popular calibers. There are so many different firearms and so many different calibers in history. And then you have your modern calibers, and then you have your modern firearms that most people can find readily available that is capable of the purchase of that. Wow. My firearm only discharges its cartridge, or sorry, its bullet. Its bullet only discharges and, well, it projects, sorry, to about 1200 FPS. Whereas the Magnum looked like it had for a 60 grain, it sent a 60 grain, it would send and still could, I guess, 60 grain bullets of low sectional density, and it would throw them at 2,760 FPS. That is extremely fast. The way it's projecting that bullet. And 60 grains is a heavy bullet. Especially, look at how long these cartridges are. They look much different than even the Federal ones a little bit too. They look a little bit different. This one's a pointed hollow tip, whereas this is looks to be maybe a full metal jacket sort of. Whereas this is a copper brass mix. This is completely brass. And then you have looks like an alloy of brass or the casings. I'm not 100% sure. It may be an alloy of brass and steel. You don't see that casing very often. Anyway, another and even better example of confusing nomenclature is the 220 Swift. When it was introduced in 1932, it absolutely blew the doors off any other 22 center fire cartridge. I see. Yet, like the 2506, it never received the Magnum imprimatur. Even when the 222 Remington Magnum was introduced in 1958, the Swift pushed the same weight bullets about 500 FPS faster, yet it was, well, just a Swift, not a Magnum. Magnums, I believe, are more width, whereas this Swift was a lengthy cartridge. I just learned something too. Okay, you got your 22s. Those are your most popular. If you're extremely wealthy, though, you would have a 220 Swift. All right, it projects the same. It projects the bullet of a 22 with the extra oomph of the Swift cartridge. Something like a long. It had a good. It still can. Like I said, you have to be extremely wealthy for these type of. Much more powder than your average 22, and these 22s are going very, very, very fast. I don't know. You teach me something about it. If you know about it, grasping for consistency. Like I said, there are many exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, there was some thread of consistency throughout cartridge nomenclature. I guess when you get right down to it, a cartridge is regarded as a Magnum if its performance, usually based on velocity, but not always, as in the case of shot shells, is higher than the nominal standard. Today we have many true Magnums that have no belt. Plus, we have short Magnums, ultra Magnums, and enhanced performance. So determining what those standards are is a lot more confusing than it used to be. I've been training with firearms since 2007. When it comes to real firearms, I had a 22. Ruger long range LR, one of the most popular. 10 and 22 is the most popular firearm. But then I started to learn about, back then I used to just fire it. I didn't know much about it. It was a box of bullets. It wasn't too hard to load a magazine. And, well, I learned my lesson when I wasn't wearing eye protection and I got hit in the eye by shrapnel. And that's when I realized, Tom, you got a lot to learn. And then I got to talk with some fellow Americans, ones from California, Texas, ones that owned firearms, and I didn't. And they tried, well, no, they did. They taught me about, well, they didn't teach me about these ones. Russell taught me about 45 full metal jackets. I I didn't understand anything he really said at the time. I just kind of said and thought well, I didn't think I did. I just sort of, it took a long time to finally start to understand it as well as I do now. Now I've gotten into the larger cartridges and the bullets. I don't own a larger cartridge or, sorry, a firearm that will expel these ones, but that's where he's at. Everybody knows the 223 or et cetera, but as much as I want a 223, how can you own a 223 if you don't know anything about the whole history of it? The 300 Winchester, the fourth cartridge in a series of belted magnums designed to fit in a standard long action. The other Winchester magnums from left to right, the 264, 338, and 458, all based on 375 H&H mag case. People would say this and people would say that, but the reality is that you know the reality that's at hand, and that is your best bet. I know my reality, and that's why I've become so successful. But look at this one. Long bullets. I'm not sure what this one is. A Winchester Model 70. Classic stainless chambered in 300 Winchester Magnum. Magnums, I think, are usually indicated with the indentation, but that does not always indicate that that cartridge or ammunition is classified as Magnum. Non-Magnum cartridges. I think we've learned enough about some of your Magnum cartridges. There's a lot. And we got to learn about the Swift cartridge. What do you like more, the Swift or the Magnum? What about the Federal Premium ammunition? This one I've heard a lot about. Premium Safari. It's one thing I wanted to do when I lived in the States was to go hunting. My friend Russell got to go to Africa. I'm not sure if he was hunting. Yeah, everybody wants to go to the safari to hunt. It's an American right. It's a thing that many Americans do. Actually, well, fathers and sons. It's usually, like I said, I've never been to the safari to hunt. It's your highest up. It's a very, very high honor, like extremely high honor, to be able to travel to Africa, to hunt, and then return to America. Very little do, but it's famous. It's a famous American thing. And if you've been able to do it, then you are held at a very high regard when it comes to the American lifestyle. As a person that did it without any, right? You're one to look up to. Then you have your ones that are big into the assault and the. That's why we've tried to start to limit these. Why does everybody have to be an assault person? Assault. They only need assault weapons when they go do an assault. Play the video game Warzone. Assault guns don't always work out. It's usually your more aggressive personality that is an assault one. Only certain ones should have the assaults. I need an assault or a defensive assault rifle because there's also a defensive assault rifle. Hey, we have the right to bear arms, but not many people. They should increase the. What about an increase of the price of an assault? AR-15 assault rifles, I love them. They should be legal. You should be able to buy one, but they're a little bit cheap to be selling them. They should be like $3,000 is how much I would pay for one. But you can go to Walmart and buy one of these for $450. So any Taco Bell guy can just go buy one. Not even just the Taco Bell manager. Anybody can go, you know what I mean? But you know who can't? You know who can't afford a $3,000 assault rifle? A Taco Bell manager. They can't afford that. That's $3,000. You beat it already. That's the economy. Back to working and saving your money to get a mortgage or pay your rent. It's not even a mortgage. Pay your rent or pay your room rent or whatever you may be doing. So even saving your money to buy a home. Taco Bell manager and all that. But you wouldn't be able to afford a $3,000 assault rifle. That's for somebody that's a much higher up person that would like the CEO of Taco Bell or the general manager or whatever. That person would need that assault rifle to protect their entities as well as their assets and others. Even me, who could get the, but it just comes down to the numbers. Unless you're me or the general manager or the prime minister or the president or somebody that works upon under him, which people at Taco Bell that work their normal job and all that, they're under the president too. And it's a great job. You have to work your way up. But we can't say that somebody that's working their way up can be able to go buy an AR-15 or any other assault rifle. Now, I believe in that. I believe in that. But I believe that there has to be some sort of economical hierarchy to be able to buy a firearm of certain designations. Altogether even. Altogether even. Not even a certain designation, but altogether. But we have safety. Teachers are now allowed to carry in certain areas. That's going to keep students safe if staff and faculty who are higher up than students when it comes to our social economic stance in the world. But above them, they know that they have the school system management, and those people should have, etc. And then you have the presidents and all that, or the CEOs, or you have the self successes and all that, or you have the independents, or you got the corporations, and most of them already have it all dealt with. It's mostly an issue of the personal gun owner. Most of these gun owners look like like they're good gun owners. But an increase on the price, I think, would keep a lot of folks safe. And don't and not only an increase on the price, but you can, like, I think people should still be able to gift people firearms. But at the same time, if we can make it a thing where it's an honor that's achieved by each individual that has learned their way up to be able to buy it, I think is a good system themselves. To be able to go in, meet the man himself that's selling it, that has his license to sell or what have you. He's worked his way up. You don't know the things they've been through to get to the position they have until you've worked your way up to get into the position they have. I know how it is in the United States. I have a .32 caliber handgun that I conceal carry. All right. And this woman, she looks, and there is certain family designations. I see that now. Nor did I know that the system was down to the brain level. Now I do. But what about the kid that took his dad's firearm? What about not allowing the kid to have dad's firearm or not gifting the kid until he's worked his way up as a man or a woman to get their own? Save the money themselves. Instead of gifting them the money, so it's like this retardedly fun thing. We could still train, but when you want to buy that firearm yourself, And you have to do it like every other man and woman had to do it. And that's why these ones look that way whenever they do have their firearms. I mean, look at how many firearms this guy has. And he has the right. I mean, with the stockpiling, that's people's right. If he's got that much money and he's a fan of that, that's his right to do it. But you gotta watch. You gotta watch those firearms. There's so many to count. Unless every day he verifies his firearms, which I think they do, how would you know one went missing? Is that something that you would want upon the community, that maybe one of your firearms went missing? Maybe limit yourself. You don't have to. What's your favorite firearm? If you haven't done that, what kind of firearm owner are you? Your main carry, your backup, uh, whether it be your carry or exactly. Look at this, an extended mag. I've been to gun shows. Boy, do I miss the United States. But I love Canada. And we've had a fairly, and I know everybody's seen this stabbing, but they got him. One of our firearm owners went out and got him. No, they said he got stabbed. You don't know what the heck happened to him, but it doesn't matter. It happens every once in a while, but we don't have as many gun owners as the U.S. It's a little bit more restricted. So much so that I've been to the U.S. and I love the openness. Well, it's different in the U.S., Tom. It's different. But I was a kid like this, and guess what? I got my revolver, but it isn't a Colt. This is a Colt single action, it looks like there. That's a very nice firearm. 45, 44 it may look like. I got mine, but I don't have a Glock. Congratulations. I think a lot of people got their Glocks a while ago now. Look at this one here. That's the president of Uganda. That's got that, what appears to be something like an AK-47. InfoWars. Don't get too caught into it. It's sort of like this information news show that you don't have to take too seriously, because I never took it that serious. I seen it as like an entertainment show. That it could be factual, it could be just jokes, but don't get too caught into it. I almost got caught into the self-defense stuff. Don't get too caught into that either. I mean, John Correa, the amount of self-defense videos that he works with, that's his full-time position for active self-protection. And if it wasn't for that active self-protection, I would have died. I had to defend myself before, and thankfully to that, and nor have I watched all of active self-protection's videos. That's that man's business. He is active self-protection. Sometimes the firearms just sit on display. They're not selling as many as you think. You're a special person if you get to go into the store and are buying one. God knows that. Boy, is this a shotgun? That's what it looks like. That looks like one of those 12 gauge automatics. Not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like. I learned about those years ago. Background checks don't stop criminals. Jared Michael Paget stole the gun which he used to shoot up Reynolds High School. Background checks don't stop criminals. Well, man, Reynolds. Oh, his name's Paget. That was in 2014. It's not the amendment's fault. Generally, it's sort of like there's been re-amendments. We got C++ programmers. We have PHP developers. It's more of a PHP licensing system. You need database. You need workers of PHP that can communicate their gun owner panel. They already have that. It's the National Registry, the U.S. National Registry. Man, there's so many men down there. And that's the U.S. Army. There's too many men, if you ask me. Too many men. Not enough women. When you see the Americans, they're full of men together. And then you see a beautiful American woman. That's why there was and still is a call to what? Well, there's a call to start to really be with the deportation of ones that be deemed inappropriate to live there in the United States. I was a man that had the chance to live in the United States, and my choice was to then leave the United States. And I've heard this before. They'll allow you to leave if you want to leave. Don't plan on coming back. I'm a little bit different of a case being a Canadian, but you can go anywhere you want. There's so much world. There's so much world. There's so many countries on Earth. Why haven't the Americans spread out? That's what Great Britain did. Hey, I'm not telling anybody to do nothing, but I'm just talking theoretically. Great Britain, they started from this little place called England, Scotland, and Wales, and Northern Ireland. But then they spread out to Australia, Canada, India, Europe, wherever the hell. But they spread out everywhere. They have the European islands or whatever. You're not the European, the British Isles. The British Isles and all that. Why doesn't U.S. men go to Africa and create a whole new U.S.? They could do that. North Africa? I don't get it. If we're so strong in men, because they're not strong in men, they got a lot of big time blabbers. And those are the same ones that say they're going to come up and do this. They say they're going to go and do that. But guess what? They're the same ones that are, once they realize who they are, they go and do a mass shooting. There's North Africa. If the U.S. is so powerful, how come they haven't gone to North Africa and exterminated the tribes and created the United States of Africa? That's what I would have called for if I was the president. Why are we just like doing a 360 in the middle of North America when we all have 223s, or you do, but you keep threatening your own brothers and sisters instead of flying around North Africa and exterminating the tribes and then building homes there. There's tribes down in South America. That's your next job, is to eliminate tribes. You could have beautiful homes, American homes, here in Africa. That's a call to genocide, they say. A lot better than actual genocide, I'd say. But I'm not calling anybody. It's more of a military, sort of economical, but not economical. It's national security. One thing I'm working to protect is the national security. We got some good movies to make light of it. There's all different areas of America. There's been a lot of time wasted. Your commander-in-chief, he's been wasting real men's time. One by one by one. Okay? In this real world. Start doing your research. That's why they don't want you doing your research. Because once you start to research, you realize that you've been sleeping in a underground bunker, or sorry, an underground. Where were they sleeping? In an underground. They had them out in Washington, sleeping to protect their same ones that are wasting your time sleeping. You could have been out in Africa, but you were sleeping. Okay. That's the biggest honorable thing I've ever seen, was a lot of sleeping. Very little action. But when we talk about the home soil, we're seeing a lot of illegal action. And that's why these ones have rose to power. He's up and he's ante. As these ones that are supposed to be our soldiers are sleeping like little children on the floor.